Today's episode is going to be a little different. Colton and Deanna thought it'd be really fun to look back in the year that we've had here at Eden and what to look forward to in the next year. They got super deep and vulnerable in this one. They're talking about the highs and lows of owning a tattoo studio, constantly creating and putting out content, what's next for the studio next year, as well as Deanna's next step in her tattoo career. This is a really fun episode if you're a fan of the show, so enjoy.
I'm excited for this. We haven't done a podcast, just the two of us, since our first video one.
I know. I guess we're going to talk about the year, right? And
Yep.
all the stuff we're grateful for and excited about and what we did. I think there's a lot that we accomplished, and I think it's good to talk about not just like the accomplishments and all that, but also like how we're really feeling and stuff like that, because that's also really important.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to reflect on the year, look forward to what's ahead too, and just kind of have just a raw, honest conversation about how we're feeling and how everything's going. And yeah, if people like it, cool. If not, well, they'll like it because you're a part of it, for sure. More Deanna is always good.
No.
Yes.
So, how are you? How have you been? I mean, you work all the time. Have you ever taken a moment to just think about all the stuff that we've accomplished?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to for sure. I have trying to build some time in my schedule at the beginning of the year to plan for what's ahead, but also to reflect on everything. And part of that, I think, will be like just analyzing the things that went well, and wins and stuff like that. So I think that's beneficial, and I'm excited to do that for sure.
Yeah.
How about you?
All these accomplishments, and like I like looking back, but I also like celebrating the wins when they happen. And it's also important how to do better. And I may sort of be that way in everything but my tattoos. You know, with my tattoos, I'll feel accomplished, but then I'm immediately like, where did I fuck up and how do I do better? But as far as like the business side goes, like I think everything's been awesome. I'm so proud of the shop. I'm so proud of how much everyone has grown. I'm proud of the way our shop is handled, and I'm proud of how the artists here are treated and the customers. And a lot of that has to do with everybody who works here on our team. And we have this team because I think we hired good people, and I think we attract good people. And I think it's okay to say like, fuck yeah, we did this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely cool, and especially like when you compare your progress to the beginning. You know, I mean, we're coming up on year 4 now.
It's crazy.
Be 4 years since we opened. Yeah, I know. So yeah, we'll be in our 5th year, which seems crazy, but yeah, especially when you look back at the beginning and how small the team was and how many changes have been in, and I feel like obviously like things have like changed a little bit along the way as far as like where we're going. But, I mean, largely, like, this is kind of like what I envisioned, you know, when we opened the studio. So it is cool to see those things, like, coming to fruition.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, it's really neat. I feel like it's kind of tough in business. I feel like, especially, like, measuring that progress, it's got to be super tough as an artist because art is so subjective anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like... You know, I really like numbers and analytics, so I like putting tangible numbers on goals and measuring progress that way. Obviously, that's not the only way I do it, but with art, you can't really do that. Like, you can't put a number on, like, how good your tattoos are. So how do you kind of, like, measure that progress? Is it just what you feel proud of?
It's a really good question and something I've been reflecting on lately. I felt like when I wasn't as known for my artistry, which I feel like was just a couple years ago. Like, I felt like I was doing good. I was fine, and people knew a little bit about me, but I felt like I wasn't taken as seriously as I am now. Um, I feel like I noticed the growth once I started like winning the awards, and once I started getting popularity and the teachings and people wanting to hear from me and hear what I have to say and take me seriously. But it's really hard because once you go, once you're someone that people aren't really afraid of, they like really root for you, to someone who is gaining more popularity, winning the awards, winning the recognition, and all of that, people don't want to see you win anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a hard battle because I do care a lot what people think and say. And now more than ever, um, I'm, I'm getting more people who don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So even though I feel like I've made great progress and I like where I'm headed, it's a battle in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Well, that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about, because I kind of like wrote down everything that happened this year, which was like good for me to do also because like the year is really long, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
just like this very like I feel like can be this amorphous thing where if you're looking back, it can be hard to put a timeline on it or just like even remember what happened recently. So like, I mean, a couple of the biggest things is like, you've still been doing a lot of shows this year, obviously. You did, March was the Evergreen show, and then we did Gods of Ink in April, and the Austin convention in August, or you did that one. And I was curious, like, because I mean, all of those you entered into and Empire State in May. So, like, all of those you entered into the Best of Show contest.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that had placements, Austin and Gods of Ink, you got third place, but it's been a while since you took home a Best of Show, which
Yeah.
I have my own opinion on that, obviously. But I was just wondering, like, how you're feeling about that. Like, and if that's your goal right now, and if that's something that you want to continue to try to do.
Um, so I feel like it was nice, like winning at least third place in an international show, and I think I want to still compete in international shows because I really haven't like won trophies and stuff outside of the
Yeah.
country. But as far as here goes, I feel like I've gotten to a point where I get it, because when growing up, I used to look at some artists that I really admire, and I'd be like, they would win all the time, and it's like, man, like I'm tired of I'm tired of them entering in every single show and winning everything. It's like, let these other artists like show what they got, like. And I feel like I got to that point, and I don't know if that's okay to say or not, but
Well, I mean, even if it's not subjective, I mean, you did win the Sinners Expo first, which was a huge show. I mean, it wasn't like the biggest show, but like there were some fucking heavy hitters there, obviously.
yeah.
And then you won Golden State and then Empire State, which are like some of the biggest
Trifecta.
conventions in the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the trifecta.
Yeah, people root for the underdog, and I was the underdog, and now I don't feel like I am anymore. And it's not to say like I shouldn't be grateful. I'm really grateful for where I am. And I think it's also just fair to say that the bigger I get, the more eyes I have on me, the more bad comments I get about my work, the more people not rooting for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that definitely also affects like me winning stuff here as well, which I'm fine taking a step back. And still just maybe moving forward, I'd like to just produce more leg panels and stuff, and just to show, not even like
Yeah.
to compete, at least here in the States. Maybe if some places would allow it, like to judge, I think that would be really cool. But I feel like I'm okay taking like a step back too, and letting like other people like go and perform and win stuff and get recognition, and it's also nice because like people are constantly getting better and better and better. So even if the work I was doing was good enough a year ago or 2 years ago, it means people saw that, are trying to be better than me and are becoming that, and they're doing amazing, which means I need to step up.
Yeah.
So it's also nice having a goal too.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like you have nowhere to go, you're like, oh, cool, I won this, I'm fine, I got it. It gets sad and lonely and boring.
Yeah.
So it's nice to feel like there is so much room for me to grow and to keep up with all these incredible artists.
Yeah. Well, I know that was something that you kind of struggled with after you won those best of shows, because that was a goal of yours for so long, and it's like, okay, well, like,
Now what?
what now? So it's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, so Gods of Ink was our first, I forgot we also went to Taiwan. That was last year, but Gods of Ink was one of your first international conventions, and I would say it's like, at least from what I've seen, it's like definitely the
Olympics.
yeah, I mean, I feel
Tattooing.
like the competition there is like heavier than anything else in the world, and it's super
So
super heavy
crazy.
at Golden State and Empire State. But we kind of talked about it on the podcast with Rich, but I feel like there's just so much insane work going on over there in Europe, and Gods
Yeah.
of Ink was like incredible, because when you're walking around, I feel like most of the time when you go to convention, it's like, every few booths, it's like, whoa, shit, that's an amazing piece, and you gotta like stop and look
Yeah.
at it. But Gods of Ink, it was like, no shit, like every fucking
Yeah.
booth, it was like there
I've
was just
never felt so
mind-blowing work
small.
going on. It was
Yeah.
insane.
But like small in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is so much more out here than what we have in the States.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool, like feeling like a tiny fish in a big pond.
Yeah, so I think I'm excited to go back next year. We're also going to the Venice convention, Icons and Prodigies, and that's fucking stacked as well.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for you to have some like new goals to shoot for,
Yeah.
just new stages to compete on.
And I think I want to continue just like working on my own, like no collaborations as far as the conventions go. Just because I want to continue showing that like I can do it on my own,
Yeah.
So like I've had like a lot of artists like say, oh, we should do a collab at convention, or things like that, and it's hard. I feel bad like saying no, and it's not for like any like personal like reasons towards them. It's just, yeah, I just want to keep showing like I can do it.
Yeah. Well, I
my
feel like your career started to blow up even more when you started winning those awards. I feel like that was a big turning point for you. And obviously, like winning the actual award helps, but I also feel like just doing those pieces on such a large scale and such a large stage has also like brought more eyes to your work. And we've talked about it on the show before about, the benefits of doing conventions and competing and stuff like that. And I feel like the award is really cool. And I know it's like, and it is a tangible goal to have. That's a lot more tangible than just like, I want to do a sick piece, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like just you having done those incredible works has like really put more eyes on your work. And one thing that I think is really, really cool, even if you haven't won in a while, when you won those awards, you were the only piece in there that was like even like painting style or even like had Baroque like subject matter. And all three of those competitions that you won were fucking stacked, like insane artists, mostly crazy color realism. That's like in the conversation for best of show. But now I feel like it's really
Everyone's
it's really common to see like a bunch of like Baroque and painting pieces. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you really started that trend, and I think that's cool in and of itself, even if it didn't come with the awards. So I'm excited for you to like keep pushing that and just to keep showing people what you can do.
Yeah, it's seeing the industry evolve. It's neat that like when I talked about my tattoos, people were like, "What kind of tattoos you do?" I literally was like, "I don't know what to call it. I guess just kind of like painterly style. And now I feel like painterly style is just it's a style now that people call painterly style.
Yeah. Well, I still feel like I like, and when I say like other people are doing like the painterly stuff, Baroque stuff, I mostly mean like subject matter. Like I still haven't really seen anybody else except for like your students maybe that like apply tattoos
The
and that
technique.
and that it looks like yours does.
Right. I think the difference is something that I'm grateful for that still helps me stand out is the technique, because it is different than just straight color realism where you're packing a color and you're going, and the way I do it is very soft, and I still care a lot about soft edges and lost edges, and that is something I'm grateful for, is that I have that still to keep me standing out.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I'm happy to be teaching it to a lot of people, and I see a lot more people like developing that technique and applying it to their own style, and it's just been cool, like feeling like part of the industry. And I know I'm like saying like I feel like it's hard talking about my accomplishments and how I feel, because in the industry we're not allowed to. We're supposed to be like so humble, we cannot say a single positive thing about
Yeah.
ourselves, you
I feel
know?
like that's just applicable to a lot of industries though.
Yeah. But I don't know. It could be. I just, I, f- I know like even as an apprentice, I was always told like,
Sure.
hey, like you're doing great, but don't let it get to your head. Don't let it get to your head. Don't get a big head. And you're not supposed to say anything. And then there's still like very talented artists out there who try so hard and get so like almost like awkward and like, no, I'm terrible, and no, I'm not very good. There's so, and we all know we all have room to grow, but I don't know. I'm enjoying like right now this podcast where I'm just completely being absolutely truthful
Yeah.
and vulnerable on how I feel.
Well, I think, I mean, that kind of even goes back to the opening of this conversation when we talked about reflecting. And I feel like in tattooing, but in anything you do, like there's a fine line between, like it's really important to be able to look back at what you've
Yeah.
done, because if you never do that, then you're never going to be happy. But also you don't want to get to the point where you feel like there's no more to grow, because then that's boring. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like living in this perfect space of
Yeah.
not getting a big head, but also looking back at what you've done and being like, I'm proud of this.
Yeah, as I'm being real, and even those artists that are like painfully humble, I feel like they know their worth. They know where they are in the industry,
Yeah.
and they're just afraid to like be truthful about it,
Yeah.
and, which I get and I understand, because like when people sense that you're in any way, shape, or form confident, they subconsciously or not subconsciously want to bring you down a notch, which I experience all the time subconsciously from so many people.
Yeah.
And it's scary. But I mean, I just want to be clear, like on a scale of 1 to 100, I still feel like I'm at like a 50 as far as like how much I can get better. Like I still feel like I'm not very good a
Yeah.
lot of the times. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been talking about myself so much, but I'd like to talk about you, because I think behind the scenes, like you're so behind the scenes,
Yeah. I
but
almost
like
prefer it that way.
all everything behind the scene is all you. And so when people like come to me and they're like, "Oh wow, like thank you for like the symposium and all this stuff," I'm like, "Symposium, like that's Nicole." Or people are like, "I like the shop. The shop is great. Communication." Da, da. I'm like, "It's Nicole and Colton." They're like, "Oh man, your business model and content and all that." I'm like, "We have a content team in Colton, and all of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. Like you have made this whole shop happen and made it as successful as it is. I know it's a team effort. I do know that, but I wouldn't have done it on my own. And I just wouldn't have done it, period. I would have been happy just like making tattoos and living my life and not growing it to this. This is all you. And I think it's cool, like, just to even say it on this podcast, like everything that people love about this shop that isn't just like my tattoos is, I mean, it's all has to do with you starting that. So how does that feel?
Well,
You don't like to take credit.
yeah, I don't like to take credit, which also goes back into this whole conversation that we're talking about. But I do want to say, and I know you mentioned everybody else, like it's definitely not just me at this point. Well, first of all, I mean, you say you wouldn't have done it without me, but obviously I couldn't have done it without you. That was, especially at the beginning, that's like why we got off to such a great start, is because you had worked so hard the past 10 years to build this incredible career and name for yourself and develop this network. And even still, a lot of the things that we're doing, I feel like a lot of the artists that we bring in, the artists that we communicate and build our network with, like you've already done that work to be somebody that people just want to work with, even if it's like the symposium and it's not like they're working with you directly very much. Like they just want to be part of what you've built. So don't be afraid to give yourself credit too. But also, our team here is so awesome. And one thing I am proud of is the team that we've put together. Our first hire that's here was Nicole, and she's also done a really good job of helping us grow that team. Not just with the artists, but with the content team. We're expanding the support team here pretty soon, which is part of what I want to talk about today. But yeah, it's really cool, and I feel like I love everyone here so much, and everybody is like does an amazing job at what they do. And so really, I love the aspect of collaboration, because like I also want all of them to be like very happy and content, like in their roles, and also like what they're doing to help grow this thing, so we can all be successful, all be happier in the long run. And I think even on the art side, I mean, this whole aspect of having a team, it's really like the model that we built our business around. Because when we first opened, I was like, you just tattoo and I'll take care of everything else. And that's really what we try to do with our artists too. And so they're all crushing it too, but I feel like everyone here is like incredibly necessary and vital to the operation. So I, as part of my reflection, I'll take some credit. I have worked really fucking hard, the past 5 years.
You
You've
literally
worked
have
really
not
fucking
taken a
hard.
full day off before.
I took your birthday off. That's not true.
This year you took my birthday off. That was nice, but other than that, you
Yeah.
have not taken a day off fully.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, definitely not this year. Which is something I'm trying to be better at, because I do recognize the balance. I think the other thing though is tough is like I set out to take yesterday off, and there's just so much exciting stuff going on that like I want to work on that stuff. I mean, obviously there's parts of the day to day that I don't feel like doing every day, but especially like the big projects that we have going on, like I really like want to work on it. So like I wake up in the morning and I'm like excited to work on it. And so
That's awesome.
So like yesterday, I was like, I want to work on the symposium stuff for next year, because I'm excited about it, and hopefully I can still find a balance there. But I mean, I think in the moment, like I'm happy to work, even if it's work just because it's something that I'm stoked to do, and like that's how I want to spend my morning, And then I took the rest of the day off too, so I have been trying to rest and stuff. But
Everything you do is like 110%, and I'm so lucky that I have you as like, when I married you, it was for companionship, and it's a crazy bonus that you're just like an amazing business partner. And even in law school, like you were like one of the best. in there. It's like everything you do is just 110%. I don't know how I got so lucky to have you.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
well, thank you. Yeah, not to keep going in circles, but again, none of it would be possible without you and how hard you work on a daily basis too. And that's something that I also want everybody to understand is all the credit that you've earned, whether you want to personally take credit for it or not, like you have earned that shit. Like you work so hard, you're so passionate about your tattoos, and I think it shows. And
Thank you.
I feel like you're really hitting your artistic stride. It's hard to think that you could still be 50% better on the scale that you were talking about, but I'm excited to see like what you do next and how you keep growing.
Thank you. I'm really excited too to keep pushing because I know what I want to work on and what I want to get better at, and I know now like my style isn't as unique anymore now that like I'm teaching it to so many people too. So I want to figure out that next thing. But thank you. I always feel like I feel like people see me as someone who works hard, and I know I work hard, and everything that I do, like the way I tattoo and draw and paint, was because of all the work I put into it since I was a child.
Yeah.
But compared to you, I feel like a lot of the times lazy because of how hard you work. And I do take days off to just rest and rot on the couch because if I don't, like I will be burnt out. I will not do good tattoos. And so I guess I never really knew or thought that you thought I was a hard worker. So it was really nice to hear
Yeah,
you say
no,
that.
I definitely do. Yeah, and I mean you're still in here 5 days a week, and obviously as a tattoo artist, even when you're not at work, I mean you don't really design too much ahead of time, but sometimes you do when you're working on the collabs and you still paint and do other stuff. So yeah, you work so fucking hard. Are you kidding me? And I know, and one thing that we've talked about too that's I think kind of unique to our situation is, like you've been doing art your whole life, and obviously when you first started tattooing it was an apprenticeship, 12 to 12, 7 days a week. And now I think you've got to that point where you are able to take days off, and that's important too because it puts you in the right mindset to focus and work harder when you get back to work. And so that's one thing that I've been realizing when I think about the importance of like taking days off is like I know that if I'm working and I'm burnt out and I don't feel like doing what I'm doing because I've been working 14 days in a row, I'm not going to be doing my best work. And some of it's like admin and it's not really like a quality based thing, but I feel like that's super important with tattooing because it is so subjective and it's so like not quantifiable, and it's not just like check, did a tattoo. It's like how fucking good can you make that tattoo? And especially like when you're designing the day of, you're working with the skin the day of, all these variables, like you've got to be fucking on and you've got to be rested. And if you start a tattoo, if you start a day feeling burnt out or tired or like in the middle of a tattoo you're like I'm fucking spent,
Yeah.
then obviously you're not going to be doing your best work. So I feel like it's incredibly important, especially with tattooing.
Thank you. And yeah, I thank you. I feel like it's nice that you say that I've earned that, but I think also part of that is when I was working up towards like the tattooer I am today and the apprenticeships and early in my career and stuff, and like I did work like so much since high school is when I started going as many days after high school, like a full day of high school and then going to the tattoo shop until whenever it closed and then wake up, do the whole thing again. Like I spent so much time working for so many years before we opened the shop. And like, yeah, like as a part of like life, I do feel a little like burnt out, like not so burnt out, but like when we met, I was at a point where like, look, I don't have to work as much as I did before. That killed me. And I don't want to, I'm at a point where like, you know what, I'm not doing, I'm doing just a couple of days, 4 or 5 days a week. I'm happy here. I'm going to utilize downtime because now I have downtime. And ever since then, like, it's been so important to me. And I still, like, I went through unfortunately, lots of trauma.
Yeah.
And it's not that I feel like I earn it, but like I need it.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting dynamic because when we met, I was at that point where like, okay, like I can rest. And you're at the point when we got together where you're like, I just found a new thing I'm interested in and I'm going to start my career when felt like towards the end of my career.
Yeah.
So that's also been interesting too, like going on this huge push again where I'm like, okay, here we go. Like I thought I had the rest. I thought I was towards the end and now I'm like making up all this energy and I'm pushing myself up again to try and catch up with you and write it. And that's been an interesting dynamic too.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm just having to catch up with you. But yeah, like I was saying, like I'm 5 years into my career, whereas you're 15 years in at this point. So we're definitely at different points, and I'm hoping that if all goes well, 5 or 10 years from now, I will have more time to relax.
Right.
And even if it's not just like not working, like I feel like just rest is so important, even if it's just priming you for getting back to work.
Yeah.
It's kind of like working out. It's like you've got to allow your muscles a chance to recover. You can't just go hard every single day.
Yeah.
Because then you start to get diminishing returns at that point.
And I know like the goal ultimately is freedom, not having to work so much. I think that is a measure of success, right?
Yeah, I would
would
think
say.
that's definitely one of them.
Do you feel like when you have freedom, you'll be able to really like enjoy the downtime, or would you feel anxious?
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, we'll see. But I think part of it too is just like just priorities, and I think where I'm at in my life plays a big role in that too. And I know that my priorities today aren't going to be the same 5 years from now. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that we've been talking about a lot is potentially having kids. And I know that like when we have our first kid, like everything's gonna change. And so I'm hoping and kind of anticipating that when that happens, like that will be my priority. And that'll fill my cup when I'm away from work, is spending time with you and spending time with our kids. And I mean, definitely now spending time with you is like one of the most restorative things that I know. It's something that right now we have to work pretty hard to like make time for.
And we're so tired that like honestly when we get together like we want to just like sit on the couch and watch something.
Yeah, which
and
is
order food. That's like my favorite thing to do with you.
Yeah, which is great. I love that.
But yeah, like finding like cuz quality time for me like highlights quality time.
Yeah.
So that's so important to me. So like finding time to talk like the way we're talking right now, I wish we could do this every day.
Yeah.
Even if for 15 minutes, just like back and forth banter.
Yeah.
That's like quality for me.
Yeah.
Is like active listening, talking, and like also those times that really build up my love and trust is like saying, hey, like I did this years ago. I feel bad, or I'm feeling like this, like, and not feeling judged in return.
Yeah.
I think those are like the main things that helps me feel close. That's quality time for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feeling safe,
Yeah, totally. And another big thing that we did this year is I kind of want to talk about is we obviously we traveled a ton.
Yeah.
But we took a month-long vacation
We did.
to Europe. Part of it was your painting class.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool for me because, I mean, like when we first opened the shop, like you mentioned, like you were on that in that part of your career where you're like, I kind of want to take time to like enjoy the fruits of my labor, to spend some time, and like a big
Yeah.
thing of yours was like traveling.
Yeah.
And we've traveled so much in the past 2 years. A lot of it has been for work, but some of it has been for fun. And so that was cool for me, because this has been something that we've been talking about for years, to like take a month and go do something that we've always really wanted to do. Part of it's traveling, but also, you took your painting class, which is something that you wanted to do
Yeah.
forever
It was
too.
like bittersweet because like I was so sad leaving. I felt like if I could quit tattooing for a year or 4 years and do like the full program there, I think that would make me so fucking happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
I know I can't, but even like doing a workshop once a year, like a 4-week workshop or a 2-week one, I I felt like I don't know. I felt so complete and like I was in the right place
Yeah.
when I was there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was
You
sad to leave it.
really loved it. Got a lot out of it.
I did. I did.
Yeah.
I really want to go back.
Yeah. We definitely should find some time for you to go back.
Yeah.
How do you feel like with your travel itch? Like, do you feel like that's scratched, or do you feel like we still have more to do? Because another thing that we talked about is, obviously it's not like you can't travel when you have kids, but obviously it's very different. It's a lot harder, especially in the first few years.
Yeah.
And so one thing we had talked about too was like getting that out of the way, like
Yeah.
before we have kids. So how are you feeling
Yeah.
about?
I'm feeling better for sure. I think it's the only thing that I'm like, man, is the fact that like the happiest I felt is the Florence class and being in a painting academy.
Yeah.
And now I want to be able to do that every year.
Yeah.
And I think that right there is the only thing where I'm like, man,
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible.
I wish I could. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I've never had kids before, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, much easier.
I'll watch 'em.
And also, and also, I hear that once you have them, you don't want to be away
yeah,
either.
yeah,
Like you'll miss them. That's
yeah.
just
I mean,
from
we're-
what I hear.
We're talking about priorities changing. Maybe that'll
Yeah,
affect how you feel about traveling and taking classes, where it's like,
totally.
well, not that you don't want to do that, but you also want to spend time with our kids. So
Because I feel like I would love the shit out of them.
yeah,
I know you would too. Just seeing how you are with
Yeah.
our dogs.
yeah. Our one dog. No, just kidding. Kind of. But
And you doing everything 110%. I feel like you would be be playing dad like 110%.
yeah, I'm excited about that, and that's why I was kind of talking about like priorities changing and everything
Yeah.
like that. So, and I think right now, I mean, for the past few years, I think we have been taking advantage of the fact that we don't have children, because we've been able to focus so much on,
Yeah.
Our marriage and with traveling and stuff like that, and the business, and obviously your tattoos and everything like that.
Real shit.
Yeah.
It's come to our attention that 75% of our viewers don't subscribe to our channel. This is kind of messed up because you're really missing out. We post a podcast every other week featuring some huge names in the tattoo industry. We post on YouTube Shorts twice a day, and we post weekly long-form videos. These videos typically have some amazing information and insight for tattooers, and sometimes it's just fun, relaxing content. But if you're here, that means you probably like amazing tattoos, and we have no shortage of those on this channel. So take 2 seconds and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss anything.
Is there anything that like you're kind of like disappointed about that happened this year?
Not disappointed at all. We've had the most successful year ever, but I've also just been just I've been sadder before, but it still has been like a really, really, really personally sad year for me.
Yeah.
Definitely struggling a lot right now, which I don't tell people or like to show it because I like being sort of like the mom of the shop and like taking care of everyone else, but like, and I'm sure on social media, everybody is like, oh my God, like you guys have been doing so well. You've been killing and putting out so many videos and I'm very bubbly and all of that, but been so incredibly depressed for I've struggled with depression since I was 14. That's when I got on medicine for it, depression and anxiety. But yeah, it's been hard just behind closed doors,
Yeah.
honestly.
Do you want to talk about what you're struggling with?
Um,
You don't have to. We can cut
it's
any of it
being
out
like,
too.
no, I don't mind talking, because like one thing I've learned is like being vulnerable on here, like, is not only helpful for, I feel like other people to see they're not alone,
Yeah.
and to see, oh, like they're being people, they're people too. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just what they see on social media, but it's helpful for me because honestly, like, I feel like because I'm open, I gain trust and make friends with everybody who follows me, and they open up to
Yeah.
me, and then I feel less alone, and the amount of messages I get helps me too.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a win-win, and I don't mind keeping any of this, but definitely like the body image stuff I think really gets to me, and the pressure of being more in the spotlight, because the more in the spotlight you are, the more people think like they have a right to point things out they don't like about you, or they want to put you down a peg, and they don't want to see you succeed when you're trying to when you start succeeding.
Yeah.
You know, they say they do until you get there, and it's scary just being in the spotlight. And there's just so many times where I just dreamt of crawling under a rock and just staying there in like a dark hole and not having to come out. Being on camera has been really hard. I know I mentioned months ago that I wish I didn't want to be on camera for a while, but I've still been doing it. And every time I see myself, like even on this reel, I'll just be reminded of how much I hate the way I look. And I'll get a comment telling me that I've gained weight. And I remember every single comment that has ever been made about my appearance, word for word. So, yeah, it's just, I should be grateful, and I know I'm very lucky and I'm fortunate. And I know to some people I'm going to sound like I'm whining, and that's fine, that's fair, but that is what I'm feeling.
Yeah. It's super tough, and you know, obviously you don't talk about it publicly. You don't even talk about it with me. I feel like
No.
too much. Like, I feel like we've just scratched the surface because you do hold so much of it in.
Yeah.
But first of all, you're fucking beautiful. I tell you that every day. But you know, how you feel about yourself really matters, and I think being that you've been feeling like that, it's super brave of you to keep coming on camera and opening yourself up to that criticism, because it's tough. I mean, we talk about vulnerability, and it doesn't even have to be just like saying something that's bothering you or something that you're not happy about. It can be just being on camera, or even less than that, like just making a post. Like anytime you show any part of yourself to anyone, it's vulnerability, because you're opening yourself up to criticism or bad thoughts or anything like that. And so you've like really leaned into it because you understand like how valuable it is for, you know, the business, and how important it is. And that's really brave of you, and I really admire you for that. And I think it's something that I feel like everybody can struggle with in their own ways, but I know particularly like you struggle with it a lot. So that's really, I really admire that about you. That's
Thank you. It's funny you say that, because I feel like I do it because I don't have a choice. And I don't feel like I'm brave for doing it. I just feel like I have no other option, because if I did, I would not. But I know like I'm the funnel to our shop too, and for our business, and how important it is for me to be on screen, to make videos and content, so that I can gain more artists for all of our artists too, so that they could feed their families. And like, I know, I recognize how much is relied on me.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard thinking like I'm courageous or brave, because
Well, I mean, you do have a choice though. I mean, you don't have to do that stuff. I mean, obviously we'd figure it out without that, but I think it's like but also just like your mindset of the whole thing, like everything you said, the fact that you feel like you don't have a choice, I think also speaks to how much you care. And it's not just like a vanity thing where you're like, I need to be on camera so I can be successful. Like, it's very much like for the sake of everyone around us. And I think for the industry as a whole, like, you're doing amazing things. Like, everybody that I talk to is like, y'all are doing amazing things for the industry. And I think that's really cool. And sounds like you have a really good grasp on that. And I think that just speaks to how awesome and selfless you are, is that you view it as like something that you have to do instead of like not just an option, you know?
I think I'm gonna say this for like everyone too. Like a good tool, which I know sounds kind of nuts, but something that has helped me a lot is ChatGPT. So I will type in, convince me I'm beautiful despite my weight, or that I'm worth something despite how I feel, or that, you know, why I should be grateful. And it's done such a good job, like typing these long paragraphs, that actually I'm like, fuck, you're right.
Wow.
It's actually made me feel better. Like, I've been talking to ChatGPT, and it's not a therapist, but
Yeah.
man, it like sometimes, every time it has said something where I like, I'm just
Wow.
reminded like, fuck, okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's a good tool. If anyone is really sad or depressed and just needs to talk to something or hear the right thing, use ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I think obviously you can do that with people too. I don't know if I would say that they're better or worse than it, but sometimes it is, like when you talk to me about it, like, it's obviously I can't understand it fully, but like when you talk about how you don't feel like you look great, I'm like, in my head I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you look so beautiful, and I think because of that I can struggle with the right things to say.
Yeah. No, and it's I think everyone tries, but the thing with everybody is like everyone wants to fix it.
Yeah.
So if I'm ever like, oh, like I feel this way, so I don't want to do this, people want to say, well, you shouldn't let that make you feel that way or keep you from doing things
Yeah.
that you know, or, well, you know, you'll bounce back, or, oh, like here's a training program, or here's a good diet tip. And what I want is, it's I think about it, and if society wasn't the way it was and I was the only person in the world that existed, I would think I was beautiful. But it's because everybody is so programmed, and the things they say, and like the obsession with skinniness, I think like that's what makes me feel like, oh, I'm not worth as much anymore because I don't look this way.
So sorry you feel that way.
It's okay. But yeah, it's people want to fix because they don't want you to feel bad.
Yeah.
So I don't blame everyone, but I do wish people would just be like, no, you're fine the way you are.
Is that the best response that you think, if you or anybody else is struggling with that and talking to somebody about it?
I mean, yeah. Because like even like my favorite paintings and like the people I like to paint, like that's what I view as beauty.
Yeah.
And they're soft, you know. I find that beautiful.
I don't know the best way to say it, but I think you're so beautiful. I think you're perfect. Just the way you are, and you always talk about how different you look, and you don't look any different to me.
I don't think I've cried on the podcast yet.
You cried, I think, on the Jarrett one.
On a lighter note, speaking of getting to a funny story, I had started Pilates, and the first day I went to Pilates.
You're going to tell this story on the podcast? Oh, goody.
Yeah, everyone's gonna know now.
Wait, let me.
I think I'm desperate for like a comedic relief right now.
Let me tell my part of the story
Okay.
first, because I want everyone to understand what it
I
was
told
like.
Ian and Lexi about this, so they already know.
Yeah, well, and it was funny because I wanted to tell people about it, but I also didn't want to embarrass you, so I was like, I'll let people.
I'm at a good point now.
Yeah, so I'm at the gym a few weeks ago, and I get this text that's like from Deanna. Well, first of all, she calls me, and I'm at the gym, and I've got my headphones on, so it's tough to talk on the phone. So I was gonna go get to a spot where I could talk on the phone, and she texts me, and she's like, "I'm emotionally distraught right now." I'm like, "Fuck, give me a second." And so I'm like going downstairs to get out of the loud noise and everything like that, so I can get to a quiet spot to call you. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what is going on? Like something horrible happened. And so I give you a call, and you said.
So I just want to say I measured so I can describe the hole in my pants that I had. So in Pilates, you're basically lying on a little platform. And your legs are out and they're just spread, right? So it's just crotch to the world. And for 40 minutes out of the 50-minute class, I had a hole the size of my hand. I measured it because I wanted to be able to describe this to people without exaggeration. The size of my hand and my crotch of my leggings. And I happened to have run out of underwear this day. So there is nothing protecting my labias to the entire classroom or the teacher on the first day of me like getting back to it. So that's what I told you on the phone.
So she told me that on the phone, and I'm like trying to tell her it's not that bad. And to be fair, I mean, everyone else is facing the same direction as you, so it could be that not everyone saw it, but
Except the teacher.
And we got home, and she's sitting on the couch, and she's like, "All right, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it?" Or you were like, "Tell me that it's not bad." And she opens her legs, and like I shit you not, it was like a perfect hole, just vagina, like. And you're like, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how bad it was, and I can tell you now it was like a 20, like as bad as it could possibly be. And I just didn't say anything.
You could see my small intestine.
Yeah, it
basically.
Yeah, as bad as you think it could have been. It was worse than that. Mm-hmm. But you've recovered from that now.
I did. You want to talk about bravery? It's going back the next day or the day after that.
When everyone knows what the inside of your body looks like.
Yeah, literally from the inside out. People know it all, or at least a teacher did. And I'm like, also, you may wonder 2 things. Why didn't the teacher tell me? That I don't know. But I do know that whenever I see her, I feel like there's a little bit of awkwardness, and I don't want to say anything, and she hasn't said anything. And 2 is, how could you not feel a breeze? I don't know. Leggings are very, like, a lot of air, It's not, like, suffocating, these leggings. And I didn't have underwear on, so, like, yeah, when you're like this and the fabric is stretched, you're used to feeling, like, some type of breeze. That's normal. But I just trusted it. And so now I have to tell you, every day at Pilates now, I do this, like, it's almost like a tick. And I just, like, real quick, just wipe.
Just making sure your vagina
just to make sure that my puss isn't out.
I love it. Well, you're so brave.
Thank you.
For going back and you've been enjoying it, it sounds like.
Talk about bravery. That's bravery.
Yeah, definitely.
Recently, too, I got pulled over in the parking lot. Right before class, too. So I'm sure people think I'm a peach. And it's for turning, like, too wide in a lane or something.
Yeah.
I promise. But who knows what people think of me in Pilates.
Well.
I don't want to know.
You're getting the work in. So that's all that matters.
I'm
That's
not
great.
boring.
Well, so I do enough about vaginas. Let's talk about tattoos. This is a tattoo podcast. So one thing that's happening that I'm very excited about is you opened your books recently, and it's been a long time since you've opened your books. We try to open them every 3 or 4 months, but with all the travel and with returning clients and stuff, it gets pushed out and pushed out. So it's like really like every 6 months about we open them. And so we opened them in December, and we had a big conversation about like basically like the projects you're wanting to take on. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It's cool because like I'm at a point where I know and I don't want to say I'm leggy because it was a lot of hard work, but at a point where I can try and see if I can gain clients by just asking for clients who want large pieces, who can sit for 3 to 4 days in a row, and who will give me artistic freedom. Which was really hard to book, honestly. Like I think we got enough for exactly the amount of spots that I needed to fill, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. But we were, I mean, pretty picky. So basically, what we did is it wasn't just like you get what you get. We sent out a booking form that basically had like a prefix menu of like, for your main subject matter, do you want a portrait or figures? Do you want additional subject matters? And it was just back piece, torso piece, leg sleeve, or arm sleeve.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you can sit 3 or 4 days in a row, like you'll get a discount on the price. But obviously that's it's still a lot of money to bite off at the same time. So I was a little bit nervous about it just because we never done that before.
Did
But
you get the idea from your book? Weren't you reading like a 5x?
yeah,
3x, 10x, something. And you're like, what is your goal? Like reach for the stars. What would your week look like if you could have it any way you wanted?
yeah. I guess it did come from the book. I've been doing a lot of reading, which I don't want to get too self-helpy. We can, but
Why not? It's what you're doing right now.
but yeah, but that was a big part of it is like, what do you want to do? And then the other thing about it too is kind of like a quality over quantity approach. And this is something that I think is incredibly valuable in tattoo business, or just business in general. But I think the value of just doing one client a week for 3 or 4 days means like you only have to get one client. And obviously there are a lot less clients that are down for that or that can afford that. But, the ones that you do get, you can really make the best pieces possible because they're going to trust you. And you're going to enjoy them the most because that's what you love doing.
Yeah.
And they're going to be better because of that. Like the tattoos are going to be better. So I think it's really cool. But you've been saying for a long time that you would love to just tattoo one client a week or one client a month, because one thing that's fucking crazy about this industry or this art form is like, it's the only art form where you have to produce an amazing piece of artwork every day, sometimes twice a day, maybe every other day, depending on if you're doing giant pieces. But if you think about painting, like painters might do 2 paintings a year and they work on it a lot, but it's just a lot different with tattoos. And so I think it'd be really cool if more artists went to this kind of approach where they just are working on less projects and they're just big and fucking awesome. So I'm excited about it.
I am too. Yeah. And it's something that I predict I may not be able or may not want to do for the rest of my life. Like I probably will need some breaks where I do like smaller tattoos, because like doing these big tattoos is so taxing.
Yeah. And you do you work like a lot of hours when you do these tattoos because like if it's a one-shot tattoo, like if you're doing flowers or something like that, like they're pretty quick for you to design and you can finish, normally by like 6 or 7. But with the big tattoos, like not only do you spend a shit ton of time on the design, but also like I've seen you push yourself a lot more to work long hours. And sometimes it's because you're at a convention, it's because you're trying to finish it in 3 days, but also like you work so fast and like you are just one of those few people that's able to do a full leg sleeve in like 3 or 4 days. And obviously like you're very attentive to the client. So like you want to get it finished in X amount of time if you can do that or X amount of days if you can do that, as opposed to adding more days to it.
Yeah. I'm scared and nervous. Like I just wanna I feel like I love the content and that we're putting out there, and like you guys have been doing an amazing job with pushing me to create content, and my page is now very informative, but I feel like it doesn't look like it's looking less like I'm a tattooer, and I'm seeing less of like the real me like on it. So I'm excited to like start putting like more tattoos out that like I'm really stoked and proud of, and things like that. So that's what I'm hoping to gain from this.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I mean, this is part of being an artist in general, but obviously you were very critical
Yeah.
of your own work. And
Yeah.
the other thing too is, you know, we talk about it all the time from a business standpoint. Like, people will ask for what you put out there. So, you know, you do a lot of tattoos that are, I think they're amazing, but maybe it's not like what you want to do more of because it's not a large scale piece, which is your
Right.
favorite thing to do. So
Right.
so, and then with all the traveling, like you're not finishing pieces every day. So there's just not as much stuff that we have to post. So
Yeah.
I'm excited too to see your portfolio grow with like really, it's just stuff that you're really excited about.
Yeah. And I hope it's different. I hope it's not the same stuff that you've seen me do before. People
Yeah.
get stagnant so easily as tattooers, and I've seen countless tattooers like develop a specific style and then do it for years and years and years, and after, because people love it at first and they still love it, but then like after years they're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this forever then, and then I feel like it's stagnant. Like
Yeah.
people aren't excited to see the same thing that you put out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Even though you do it so well.
Totally.
And
Well,
I don't want to be that.
but I think too, the really cool thing about like how you've grown your clientele and your email list and everything over the years is that, and the way that we do your booking is like, there's room there for you to be like, I don't want to take on these kind of projects right now. And we did this like we've been doing this for the past few booking periods, but like most of the time, like if we book like floral projects, it'll be like, a few of them. But, for a long time, that was like kind of all you were doing is like florals. And then you just kind of got in the phase where you're like, I don't really feel like doing those as much anymore. So now that you built your clientele like that, you have the opportunity to just find a few months worth of clients that are down for like giant pieces. And yeah, maybe you won't want to do that anymore. Or maybe you'll want to be like, I only want to do full back pieces, or I only want to do one shot tattoos because I'm sick of doing multiple days.
Yeah.
But
or I only want to do antelopes. Like, you never know
yeah,
where my life
yeah,
will take
antelope
me.
tattoos for sure.
Yeah.
You do so many of those now. I can't.
Only axolotls.
Yeah.
Is that an animal?
Yeah, it's like the lizard.
I think. Axolotl?
Axolotl.
Axolotl.
I'm not an animal scientist, but yeah, but I'm really excited, and I think it's so cool in general because I feel like, not to make too much of a blanket statement, but I feel like that's like what tattooers should strive to do, where like you're doing less tattoos and you're just doing what you really fucking love to do, and that's just going to make the overall work better. And honestly, like tattooing as an art form, like I think there are ways it would be cool if tattooers were seen more as fine artists, to where like, if you're an oil painter and you make a living doing off that, you just do like a few oil paintings a year and you sell them for like a fuck ton of money, and they're amazing, and it's worth that, obviously, So I think it would be cool to see tattooing like go more towards that, where it's like art collecting.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I want to be known for an artist,
Yeah.
not a fitness influencer that has to stay the same size forever.
Yeah. Well, you definitely can be, and you definitely are.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite part of tattooing, is the art collecting part of it. I think that's so fucking cool that we can do that.
Yeah.
You have a great collection going on. What are your goals tattoo wise?
Oh man, I got so many tattoos in such a short amount of time that I think I got burnt out on it for a little bit. You are tattooing me here in a few months, which I'm very excited about. It's been since before we opened the shop, so it's been like 4 years since you've tattooed me, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm so nervous every single time.
Yeah, that's about all you can take, I think, is every 4 years. But I'm super excited. Obviously, your work has come a really long way.
Wake up!
Obviously, your work has
Make it.
come a really long way since then. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you do, and I'm excited to have a more current piece on me. Even though I love everything that you've done on me, I still think it looks amazing. But I'm pretty excited. I want Quinn to do my other thigh eventually.
Fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But I'm still young enough, so I've got time, and I'm limited on space, so I'm taking it easy,
Yeah.
filling up everything.
You went hard, real fast. You can take a break.
Yeah.
What are your goals for the shop in the next few years?
Ooh, in the
Or for
next
next
few years,
year?
that's a loaded question. Well, for next year, and it's been a big change that I've been going through this year, so I have been reading self-help books. I don't know what the genre is, self-help, but we actually mentioned a couple of them on the podcast.
Well, name the self-help books too. Some people might want to read it too.
Yes, so the ones that I finished most recently are 10x is easier than 2x and Who Not How. Both of them by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, writing with Dan Sullivan, who is an entrepreneurial coach, and it's from his teachings, basically, all the info. But sometimes I struggle with that kind of book because I get a little bit bored reading them. But Dr. Benjamin Hardy is an incredible writer, and obviously the content is great because Dan he coaches entrepreneurs, so he knows what he's talking about. It's like the biggest entrepreneurial coaching company in the world. He's taught more entrepreneurs than anybody. So the content is great, but also the writing is phenomenal. He uses a lot of case studies, which I really like, from different disciplines and stuff like that. And he uses like a lot of stories and stuff to back the stuff, which is, I feel like one thing that, I don't like when I read the self-help books is it's just people like making statement after statement, but it's like good stuff. But if it's not backed in like fact or even anecdotal evidence of like, here's how this person applied this and it changed their life, like that's what like really makes it stick to me. And so that's what I really like about this particular author. But I read 2 books of his recently. I'll probably read them again, but one of them, the first one I read is 10x is easier than 2x, which references Who Not How a lot. But I think one of the biggest things that I got from 10x is easier than 2x is, and when they say 10x or 2x, it can be anything. It can be, 10 times your revenue or 10 times your time or your happiness or whatever it is. But to me, there are a few ways to apply that. But basically, the gist is that 2x is like what you get when you just like work harder or like do more or like apply more effort, which to me, like, we kind of talked about it. Like I literally don't have time to work more.
Yeah.
Like I work pretty much every waking moment that I can. So that's not really an option for me. And as opposed to 2x, 10x is like more of like a qualitative shift. It's fundamentally different. And so one of the big things, we kind of already mentioned it, is like a quality over quantity approach, where you spend less time, or it ends up to be less time, but you reel in all the things you're doing, and then you just make the things that you're doing really fucking good. So the 80-20 principle is also like part of it. Like 80% of your results come from 20% of your time and vice versa. And so that's something that even like with the content, like I've really taken a step back and been working with the content team, and they're on board too. And I love having these discussions with them. They're great. But to be like, well, like what if instead of putting out all the shit and posting twice a day, 6-7 times a day across multiple platforms, like what if we like reeled it in and just focused on like the best of the best tattoos, the best ideas, and like spent all of our time on that. And so that's one thing that we've been doing recently, and one thing that I think has been helping a lot, and I'm excited to see that grow and develop. And I think the same thing can be applied with tattoos, really. the other really big thing that's going on is I've been going through this thing of I guess you could call it delegation, but it's the whole premise of like who, not how. And it's very interesting to me because to me it's like the same business model approach that I take with you and the rest of our artists, right? When you want something done, it can be really easy to say like, how do I do this? But you really need to ask yourself like, who can help me do this? So I think that's one thing with our business model with the tattooing. It's like, you know, you don't do any of your own booking or anything like that, or even take your own photos. Like we have things to do that. And I always talk to artists and, you know, tattoo entrepreneurs and shop owners. I'm like, you need to find people to take these things off your plate, not because you're not good at it or because you just need to, you know, take more time off your hands, but you need to be focusing on the things that you do best and that only you can do. And so with artists, like most of them, like they're passionate about tattoos and that's all they want to do. So like in my teachings, I'm like, you need to focus on only tattooing and then bring in people that are really good at the rest and then probably better at it than you are. And that's something that like I'm having to take some of my own medicine there because I have my hands in so many pies. And it's really not even because I feel like I have to do it or that I can do it the best. Like I know other people can do it better than I can. It's just there's just if something has to be done by anybody, like I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're expanding the team. You know, we brought Chris in to do YouTube stuff a while ago. And I think it's been really great. And we're expanding the support team as well. So we're bringing in more people. It's going to allow me to focus on stuff that I'm really, really excited about. I don't want to talk about all of it, but we have some really awesome stuff on the works this year. One of the biggest things is online seminars. So I know we've been teasing that and talking about it for a while, but like it is something that we're working on. And another thing I think is funny is, you know, when people are like, well, you should just put out an online seminar so everybody can come. But yes, I don't think they realize how much work it is to not only have the information where people want to take a seminar from you, but all the work that goes in with producing that, editing it, and having it be like really fucking good. Because like we could put out an online seminar, but like I want it to be like the best we possibly can do. And so it just takes a lot of time. So I'm going to be able to focus on stuff like that, really focus harder on Eden EDU, which I'm really excited about. And just finding ways to filter all of that back to our artists and our team here. Cause like, that's what I really, really care about. But, that is the stuff that like, I'm really excited to do. And, you know, I mean, it's kind of like with tattoos too. Like I go through phases. Like, when I first got really into content and posting, like I was really excited to make posts and make a schedule. And like, I still like doing that, but I know that it's taking away from the stuff that I'm really excited about and the stuff that is going to 10x the business, qualitatively shift the way we do things, which is new stuff.
Yeah.
So the EDU stuff, online seminars, memberships here. And so, I'm really excited to focus on all that and also like bring in more people that really love to do whatever it is they do. Cause that's one of the most important things to me is that everybody is stoked with what they're doing. Like it's not just delegation to me. Like it's not just like, oh, I don't want to have to do these things. It's like, no, I want to have people do what they love doing so that the overall product is better. It's the same thing with tattoos. It's like you want to tattoo like what you want to do at that time and it's going to be better.
Yes.
If somebody doesn't want to edit a fucking YouTube video, it's not going to be a good YouTube video. If they're stoked to do it, then it's probably going to be a lot better. And it's the same thing with writing emails, taking inventory, like literally every part of the business. And so that's my goal with all of it is just to have not just the right people on the bus, but like the people in the right seats. And so they're good at what they're doing and they're stoked to do it because as we grow, like I want to just have more opportunities for everybody. So that's the big thing that's going on. That's the biggest thing that's going on right now. Through that, we have a lot of stuff with the seminar stuff.
Yeah. What's a like personal and emotional goal you have for yourself? Could you just end it? Just one thing.
One goal that I have for myself?
Yeah. Has nothing to do with business.
Oh.
Just for a little vulnerable Colton moment.
this answer doesn't count, I guess, but it's not personal. But I just want everybody else to be happy. Like I love the people that I work with, everyone here.
Yeah.
And I just want all of them to feel fulfilled in what they're doing. And that makes me feel fulfilled too, I think, so, like, I feel like the whole goal with everything we do here is just, to build a better industry, have tattoo artists get more out of their careers. And then clients, obviously, through that, they're getting better tattoos. So that's what gets me excited. So I know that's not really like that personal, but,
We'll take it.
yeah. Cool.
It was
Well,
awesome talking to you.
Yeah, it was awesome talking to you. I like talking to you a lot. We should
get
date.
married.
Or get married. Fuck it. Yeah, let's get married. Let's have kids. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I know this was kind of a different episode, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Deanna's got a little virtual words are tough. Got a little virtual portfolio review that she's got to get to, so she's going to get to that. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Cool. And that's a wrap.
Good job.
Thank you.